Okay.
If that was a blooper,
We're screwed.
I said rear.
So we want to talk about abrasive lifespan.
Yeah.
But one of the things that helps, I think you were explaining how you can change out just the water out of the cabinet, which will help get some contaminants out of the water. It's going to help refresh the abrasive when you're adding fresh water back to the system.
Right.
So can you go over a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously there's a difference between emptying everything and just emptying your
Right.
water. You know, water, if you're dealing with extremely dirty parts, very often, kind of like we do in our showroom, you want to change that water like once every couple weeks because your water is going to be super disgusting. You don't want to keep pushing sludge through your system.
Well, and bacteria might build up or smell about the water and stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and that's not fun
definitely
to
wanna
deal
do
with.
that. No.
Definitely not. You know, if your parts are generally cleaner, if you're using our Hydroblast parts wash before you put them in the cabinet,
Right.
Or if you're using, you know, your method of cleaning before you put them in the cabinet, you can stretch the lifespan of that water to maybe about 3 or 4 weeks. Emptying the abrasive, we usually range that everyday use is going to be about once every 4 weeks.
Right.
Now,
and so the daily use we're saying is up to between probably 4 and 8 hours.
Right.
Is what we consider a daily use
Right.
type process. Okay.
Yeah, and you know, if you're doing that maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, maybe you're just doing it on the weekends, 4 to 8 hours a day.
Right.
That would really put you in a 10 to 12 week lifespan for abrasive.
Okay.
So, you know, I know those numbers seem shocking, but you know, wet blast not done with impact. So when the glass bead hits the surface, it's not going to shatter immediately. The water is going to cushion it so that it prolongs the lifespan of the media and the rest of your consumables as well.
Right.
A lot of people ask too, does the media get contaminated? The media does not. It doesn't get contaminated. We've done so many dirty parts in the showroom. We've done parts with paint on them, with powder coat on them, rust.
We've done rust. We've actually turned the water orange because of the rust we've removed. But then you can do a totally different part and it's still going to finish just as nice as it did when it was brand new.
Right, and that's a part of it not being done with impact, and a part of it is that, you know, either those contaminants disintegrate in water or they're actually going to flow out with the overflow water. Like oil or grease, it's going to float so that it floats out with the water whenever you're draining it out of the top ball valve. You know, a lot of people ask about disposal too. This really depends on your environmental regulations in your area. You'll have to get with your municipality on that because everybody has different options of, you know, throwing it away.
Right.
What I've seen in the past, really you're going to have to worry more about the water than the abrasive.
Correct.
Because the abrasive, it doesn't contaminate. And it's environmentally friendly.
That's what I was going to say, is it's environmentally friendly, so that's going to help.
Yeah, and you can just throw it away in the garbage and then dispose of the water properly. I know a lot of people use Safety Clean.
Right.
You know, you can pump it out into like a 55-gallon drum through the blast gun. Of course, you don't want to run your pump dry. That's never something you want to do on any pump you use ever.
Right.
But if you keep adding fresh water to the system while you're cleaning it out, you'll notice that that water starts to come out clear like normal water should look.
Well, what I like about that process is that you're running clean water through your pump, essentially getting all the abrasive out of the inside of your pump. Especially if you go from an aggressive abrasive to a fine abrasive, now it's not going to be contaminated when you're blasting your part because there's some left in the pump. So
and neither will your lines. Your lines will be flushed out as well if you run water through them. So that's, you know, that's the process that I like to do as well. You know, you can just open the bottom ball valve and drain it into maybe like a container or something that can catch water. You know, some people use that method, then they just spray out the entire cabinet, fill it up with water again, run it and let it drain again. But that takes twice as long. You're doing twice the work when you could just pump it into a barrel and be done with it.
Well, and that made me think something too when you said that the bottom fitting, when you're draining everything out of that, a lot of customers ask, can they reuse that abrasive? And the answer, short answer, is yes, you can. As long as your abrasive has not broken down to the point of where it's taking you forever, it's slowing down your process, then you can definitely reuse it. Store it in a container, allow it to settle to the bottom, you can pour the water off of it, and then just put it back in your machine when you're ready to reuse that particular abrasive.
Right, and I mean, you can let it dry out. I would just keep it in like a thin layer. That way it doesn't all hard pack into a brick.
Right, of course, yeah.
but you can reuse it. We have customers that reuse glass bead or reuse aluminum oxide because it's not ready to be dumped yet, and that's
Right.
a total waste of money.
Right.
So we don't want you to do any of that. We just want you to be able to save it. I know that a lot of people use something maybe 5 microns or smaller. Anything that you can find out there that will let the water just drain through, the media will stay in
A
there.
pillowcase. We have a customer that called us and said that he uses a pillowcase to blast through the pillowcase. It catches the abrasive. The water goes right on through. So it's caught in a barrel or a container where that's just the contaminated water.
Right.
And you've got the abrasive inside your pillowcase, and you can just reuse it whenever you want to.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, or you can find just, different things like maybe a filter paper
Yeah.
or filter roll that are
Yep.
5 microns or less.
Exactly.
You can find them out there, but that's a good way to save your media if it's not ready to be disposed of yet.
Yeah. So one other thing I want to mention before we close is that the best way to tell that your abrasive needs to be changed is when you first put fresh abrasive in your cabinet. It's going to clean really quickly. You're going to see it's going to be lickety split. But when it starts to get worn and broken down, you're going to realize it's going to take you a lot longer, right, to clean that part. The same part, it may take you, 3 or 4 minutes when you do it initially. It may take you 10 minutes. Now you need to know that it needs to be replaced.
Yeah, and I mean, something we do in the showroom just to, get an idea of when the last time it was changed or when it may need changed again.
Right.
We put a piece of painter's tape on the machine and just label it water changed this date, abrasive changed this date. That way we can basically just count the weeks that we need to change it in.
Right.
So, if that machine is used heavily in the showroom, we'll change it right at 4 weeks. If it's not used so much, maybe it's a more aggressive abrasive that doesn't use many applications.
Correct.
You can stretch the life of that abrasive. Or if you have ceramic bead, you can definitely stretch the life of
Naturally,
that
it's going
abrasive.
to last longer, right?
Yeah.
Well, so we really hope that this video on the lifespan of abrasive has been helpful. My name's Nikki. This is Hunter. If you have any questions, we're more than happy to help you. Give us a call anytime. Our number is 828-202-5563. And thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.